Top five, top five, top five.
Southern Topical back with another video. I'm Strange Wang. He's Nate. And today we are doing top 5 Jake Gyllenhaal films.
If you don't know how we do our top fives, one of us will do 5 and 4, 5 and 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, and then we'll trade off number ones. We also have something we call the Zemeckis rule. Robert Zemeckis, Back to the Future, time travel. If one of us calls out a movie, but the other person has it on their list, but it's 2 spots or higher, they will call Zemeckis, and that just means we're going to save the conversation for that film until we get to it on that person's list.
So I'm going to start us off at number 5. I have Zodiac.
That's my number 5.
Word. See, the reason why it is my number 5, it's an incredible film, but it's kind of like the Fab Five of acting, you know?
Yeah.
Like, all these Marvel stars are put in this film, and they're all acting their ass off. Mm-hmm. So you don't get a full screen time of each actor.
Right.
You get about 45 minutes from each actor. But they cap off how obsessed Jake Gyllenhaal is with this case. Mm-hmm. And they have it climax in the basement scene.
Whoa. Yeah.
It's just like he has the most memorable part in the film for me.
For sure.
And that's why it made my list.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't, it would have made my list anyways, because like you get so lost in his role because he's so lost in his work. Incredible stuff. What you gotta say about it?
And I'm sure that as we go, we'll see this as a common theme. Gyllenhaal is one of the most versatile actors in Hollywood. This guy can play so many different types of roles, but he does all of them pretty well. Even when the movie's not that good, like I'm pretty sure.
Incredible Bubble Boy.
Cap.
But that Netflix movie where he's like the art critic.
Oh,
like
Velvet Buzzsaw.
Yeah. Like, not a great movie, but Gyllenhaal is like, he goes crazy in that movie. So, love his versatility, and that is one of the reasons out of all the people that are in Zodiac, he is easily my favorite character. He's the one I'm most interested in. He's the one I'm most invested in. The fact that he's just a cartoonist who finds himself so involved in this case is phenomenal, and he's great in it.
My number 4 is also a great movie. It is End of Watch. A good, I would say, like starting point of making a cop movie is having them be detectives. Why are they detectives? Because they're not in cops' clothing. Because cops have a negative what's it called? Stigma about them. You know, they like beating king in the street and whatnot, and like all kinds of bad stuff. Not all cops, but when you think about cops, a lot of people think a lot of bad things about them. So a smart thing to do is not like Lethal Weapon. Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan, Axel Foley. All these cops aren't in cops' clothing, like the normal cop. So you don't have that. You don't connect the two. Mm-hmm. You can root for them easier. In this case, End of Watch, Jake Gyllenhaal plays a cop, and you totally buy into it. His like acting about it, and because he is so likable as a person, as an actor, and you see him in the Spanish guy and Ant-Man.
Michael Pena.
Yeah, Michael Pena. These two and their friendship make it so easy for you to root for these guys that you don't, that negative connotation, if it is in your head, it leaves the film so quickly. These two work together so well, and he's in more screen time with the film, so that's why I put it ahead of Zodiac. But incredible, lost in the performance. You don't realize you're watching him on screen.
My number 4 is Donnie Darko. I was that kid when I was younger. I love just like these weird, offbeat, dark movies, and the like comparison. Well, I mean, this movie isn't subtle about depression and what it is, but like the way that they use the rabbit and all of that kind of stuff as symbolisms for all those things is phenomenal. I love how eerie this movie is, but I also like just feel this really weird connection to it because it was another one of those early films that was much more abstract than your general movies that a lot of high schoolers like your raunchy teen comedies and things like that. So Gyllenhaal just being that, you know, awkward little weird kid with all of these weird issues going on in his life. It's earlier Gyllenhaal. I love that, but it also just showed early on what he was going to be. So I love his performance in that movie.
So when you say you were that kid, did you find out that a teacher or Patrick Swayze was a pedophile?
Actually, yes.
Next, number 3 on my list is going to be Prisoners. Have you seen this film?
I have not.
This movie is incredible. This is the best movie Jake Gyllenhaal is in. Since these lists are about actors, we're basing them all on performances. So he's in an ensemble cast. I'm not going to say anything else, but it's most people's best performance. It's like 2 or 3 people's best performances. And Jake Gyllenhaal, Again, you get lost in his role. He's a police officer. Something happens, and he, as I would think a cop would, this is a job to him. It's another day in the office. Yes, who it happened to is terrible, and they're obviously 20 times more invested in it than he is, but he treats it like a job. It takes him a while to really get invested and sink his teeth into the case. Not that he's not trying, but it gets personal to say.
Yeah.
That's perfect. You need to watch. Like, when you get done, you need to watch this thing. It's incredible. Number 2 is Enemy.
Pansy?
Oh my God. What? You need to watch a couple movies. So, this, very relatable. It's about not wanting, it's about commitment issues, but it does it in a very artsy, creative way. And Gyllenhaal, he plays 2 characters in the film, so you get 2 different performances, and you get lost in both performances. It keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time because he plays 2 performances. So the movie's literally all Jake Gyllenhaal.
So my number 3 is going to be Brokeback Mountain. This movie was always really interesting because I was in high school when it came out, back when it was like still cool to make fun of gay people. So
yeah, back in 1998.
You're old.
Him and Ledger's performances are both amazing in it, but I think that's one thing that makes Gyllenhaal stand out to me in this film is because obviously Heath Ledger is also a phenomenal actor. So getting 2 of like the greats of our generation of actors together, feeding off each other, take that however you want, and like their performances in this role, it's an incredible film. And I hate that I didn't watch it sooner because I was a stupid high school kid who had no real understanding of things like that. But it is an emotionally powerful movie, and they both freaking kill it. But I love Gyllenhaal's performance in this. My number 2 is going to be Southpaw. Freaking love this film. Love it a lot. It's a better boxing movie than Rocky.
You've never seen Rocky, so you can't comment anything Rocky related unless it's Creed.
I just did.
You're ignorant, and you just proved that you cannot, you can change and not be ignorant by having Brokeback Mountain on your list and understanding and loving that movie so much. And you're an ignorant asshole for saying this movie's better than Rocky when you haven't seen Rocky.
We talked earlier about Gyllenhaal's versatility, so this one just shows that. Obviously, he got freaking jacked for this role, but switching from playing these kind of like more like mild-mannered, like he plays kind of like the timid guy, like the guy that's like, I don't know if underdog's the right word, but he's never like the biggest guy on screen. He's never necessarily the guy in charge of a lot of situations and roles that he plays. In this one, he plays freaking like kind of uneducated badass who was orphaned and is just pissed at the whole fucking world. And I love him in that role. He does a phenomenal job of switching it up to that style of character. Every emotion that he feels in this movie feels incredibly organic and real, like his relationship with his daughter, the loss that he goes through losing his wife, and like what he goes through to like get through that and like quote unquote get some sort of semblance of revenge, but doing it the right way and not the way that gets him put in prison.
I pray to my God, your God, that we have the same number 1.
I'm sure we do.
And it is Nightcrawler, his performance in Nightcrawler.
That's my number 1.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you can't get lost in this performance,
You're a buffoon.
you don't have to like the movie, but when you watch this movie, begin to end, you're not going to see Gyllenhaal, to me. I've seen it multiple times, and I still get lost in the performance. How he just like, he doesn't have anything to do, so everything he does is so calculated. That's all he does. He thinks. When he's talking to the guy, like trying to get a job in the beginning, like selling sewer plates and stuff like that, he has the whole little spill like about why he should get this job, and it's incredible. The dialogue is incredible. You believe that he like sat down and wrote this out, stuff like that, and it's just like the moments where he's like switches on like a light and screams and like turns into a totally different person. Like his mood changes so quickly, and then he changes it back. It's just like incredible. And when he's talking to Shorty about, hey, we're gonna have sex, and you'll put my stuff prime time, and you'll pay me this much money. He sat down and like in my head, I just know he sat down and like did those logistics. And I can picture in my head because the movie's so believable. This is one of the few movies where I'm like, holy shit, that's a real person. That's not Jake Gyllenhaal, because the performance is so good. Just like from the hair and having him always wearing like a white button-up shirt and like the most plainest clothes ever. It's I'm not gonna say it's a powerful performance because it doesn't move me the way it probably should, you know, or shouldn't. I don't know. It's not gonna move you. He's not gonna make you cry. If you meet him, he might, but it's a whole different level from any of these acting performances to me. Like, this is one of the best performances of all time, top 5.
Ease, the greatest of ease.
That's right.
He does an amazing job in this role, switching it up to this like absolute sociopath of a character. I mean, the way that he gets you to believe like how manipulative and how heartless Lou Bloom is, like how complete and totally real his disregard of anyone's life but his own is. I mean, it's creepy. It's a terrifying character, and in the most subtle way possible, because he does not give a shit. Like, he's literally just a less violent Anton Chigurh. Like, he has no regard for human life. He only cares about what benefits him. Like, what?
Well, I feel like Anton Chigurh doesn't plan, you know?
I don't think that
like he does.
So you're talking about like...
To me, like, he's very calculated. He knows what he's going to do. He's not a reactor.
No, you know? He's a sociopath.
Yeah, I mean,
which means
that.
All of that stuff is in his, like, I don't think he has to sit down and plan it. He's literally just manipulative. Like, when your only drive is what is going to benefit me in this situation, I don't think that he has to sit down and plan any of that. I think it is literally just like...
I don't know. Some of that dialogue is just, like, so, like, to the point.
Yeah,
like,
that's what sociopaths do.
Well...
Do some research.
Him and Chigurh, they don't do at that level because we get less like talking to Chigurh. But in his line of work and that movie, the situations puts him in, he's more of on the reacting side. Like, oh, he has a gun too. Oh, he's driving away. Oh, I got shot in the leg. I need to do something to like get medicine. He's reacting to stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference between I have two roles. But continue.
That was pretty much it. Regardless, the fact that like Gyllenhaal, who has been like this super likable guy in so many other movies, can just switch it to being this absolute creep of a person so seamlessly and do it to a point where like he 100% just disappears in that role. Like, it is hard to like. I wholeheartedly agree with what you said. When you watch that film, you see Lou Bloom. You don't see Jake Gyllenhaal. Whereas in a lot of other movies, it's like. It could be, if it's a famous actor or actress, like, you might appreciate their role, but you're still like, oh, that's Leo. That's Scarlett Johansson. That's Meryl Streep. You know? He 100% disappears in that role, and that's why I think it should be number one on anyone's list of Jake Gyllenhaal performances.
Tell us what you think down in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe.